We're live. I'm not sure the audio is working, but we'll find out. Good evening and welcome to the December 7th meeting of the Glenville Town Board. Please rise for an invocation and pledge of allegiance. Before the invocation, I'd like to take a moment of silence to remember all those who lost their lives on this day in 1941 in the event known as Pearl Harbor. Please take a moment of silence to honor those men and women who gave their lives. Dear Lord, we invite you to preside over this meeting. Even if we have different opinions, give us unity of spirit. Help us to each listen politely as others share their points of views. Help us to work as a unified team in combining ideas for a great outcome. Help us to work as a whole rather than individuals trying to promote their own agendas. May we have a spirit of camaraderie in this room, and let us work together in our shared mission. Amen. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please record the roll.
Councilman Martin?
Here.
Councilman Ramapar?
Here.
Please note for the record, Councilman Godlewski is absent. Councilwoman Berdowski?
Here.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Here. Again, welcome all. The agendas are up front. There are no changes to the agendas, so we will go through the 16 items. I do want to take a moment to welcome our friends from the Village of Scotia. Fire Department is here tonight, and also our County Legislator, Michelle Osterwitz, is here tonight. Thank you for being here. So with that, we'll start with Town Council reports. I'll start on my left with Councilwoman Wierzbowski.
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, it's been a light couple of months. The town chief's meeting was postponed until next month. The fire training center progress is we're taking a little break for the holidays, so we should be resuming those meetings back in January. There's also been a little lapse in traffic safety meetings because Annie has been out on a medical leave. So that's all I have, but I didn't want anybody to think that nothing's happening, but
Just get get ready for busy 23.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Thank you. Councilman Martin.
Yeah, just a couple things. I'll defer to Councilman Romatar about the meeting with the Legacy Park Planning Committee, but I did attend that with more progress. Sid can get into the details on that. And also, I reviewed the draft RFP request for proposals for the wider town hall project that's kind of bubbling under the surface, so to speak. We expect the request to go out, I think, in the next week or so, with a response time frame of late January or early February. So we'll see where we stand on proposals relating to that potential project. And that's it.
Thank you. Councilman Ramapar.
Yes, to add to what Councilman Martin mentioned, he and his company are going to help with the Legacy Park folks with just pretty much just outlining and planning the project out a little bit more in a structured way. And I think it's just becoming more solidified with that effort. So thank you, Jim, and for setting that up. We're going to have more updates probably next month. On the Department of Public Works side, I was chatting with new Commissioner of Public Works, Craig D'Allard, and quite a bit of information here. So sorry to steal some of your thunder there, Chris, but electric services to the new town sign was installed on 11/28, and the new town sign was obviously installed and removed on November 30th, and most of you probably saw it for the first time during the tree lighting. Electric services were installed from Ed Mill Road into Indian Meadows for future improvements to the recreation field. And water is going to be hooked up next month, and we're going to be voting on that resolution today. We've also approved Delaware Engineering to move forward with the design of the water system improvements, which includes the industrial park improvements, Route 5 extension, West Glen, and design of the West Glen service area. The other good news is that anyone that's driving over Freeman's Bridge at railroad track, we coordinated with CSX and DOT to facilitate the closing of Freeman's Bridge to replace the railroad, which was awesome. The wrapping, paving of the paving needs for the paving repairs that was needed based on the water main breaks earlier this year, that's all done. And there was two new or couple, Craig, I think you said there's two new outlets on that new sign to help support anything that needs to be plugged in, including the tree lighting. And the last item here is instrumentation has been installed at the town's water tanks to allow remote watering of the water levels. Spectrum no longer is providing a service. We're dealing with Verizon, and because of that, we're replacing the monitors. And finally, leaf pickup is complete. So anyone that has not put out their leaves, too late.
Thank you, Councilman. That was the supervisor's report. So thanks, Craig. Let's talk tomorrow, okay? No, I'm kidding. All
Nice
right,
job,
so
Craig.
moving on to the public hearing. I'm going to open a public hearing to hear all those interested in proposed local law number 9, 2002, amending chapter 139 fees of the town of the Code of Glenville, town of Glenville. That public hearing is now open. Anyone wish to be heard regarding changes to the fees of chapter 139 of the Code of the town of Glenville? I'll call on Councilman Martin real quick just to give a quick summary of what we're actually changing here.
Yeah, this is within the fee schedule of the town, specifically relating to sewer fees and water fees. And what's being proposed is sewer fees relating to the city of Schenectady residential service. The current fee is $0, and the proposed fee is $270. The city of Schenectady commercial, the current fee is $0, and that is proposed to be $660. The water fee relates to a series of different levels of fee relating to the water meter. A 3/4 inch meter is currently $200, would go to $320. A water meter for a 1-inch connection would be $200. It's currently $200, would go to $600. Double check valve 3/4 inch is currently $50, would go to $160. Double check valve for a 1-inch line is currently $50, would go to $290. Service permit for residential is currently $100, would go to $200. Service permit for commercial is currently $150, would go to $300. And finally, the city of Schenectady residential fee is currently $200, would be reduced to $0. And the city of Schenectady commercial is $500, would be reduced to $0. So that is the proposed changes to the fee schedule.
Thank you. The public hearing is now open. Anyone wish to be heard on that matter? Going once, going twice, seeing none. That public hearing is now closed. We will now move to privilege of the floor, which is item number 6. We do have 2 people signed up. If you did not have a chance to sign up and you wish to be heard, just raise your hand. We'll invite you to the podium and you can speak to the town board on any matter related to town business. The first person we have up is Adam Henry.
Thank you. Supervisor Ketzley, board members, my name is Adam Henry, and I live at 2239 Waters Road, Glenville. I'm a lieutenant with the Scotia Fire Department and also proudly represent my colleagues and friends as a member of the executive board of the Scotia Permanent Firefighters Association. I'm here tonight to discuss comments made on social media by Councilman Jim Martin, comments which attack the character of the members of the SPFA. Councilman Martin's comments, which were made within a congratulatory post to Mayor Bucefaro, were critical of many aspects of the village of Scotia. A particular note was a fire department with employees who don't even live in the community yet demand high wages and benefits that the taxpayers bear, and they do not as they live in another town. He followed that up with, what is needed is men and women who provide such service with caring for those individuals who sacrifice to pay for its cost. I'm sure you can all see how as a Scotia firefighter, I'm very frustrated. I'm also sure that as a town resident, you can see that I'm discouraged and embarrassed. Ordinarily, I ignore what I read on social media, and I'm a full believer that everyone is entitled to their own opinions. Except Councilman Martin isn't just a community member with an opinion. He's a councilman, an elected official who represents many of those he attacked, including myself, and that warrants a rebuttal. First, let me be abundantly clear. These opinions are blatantly false and have zero factual basis. As a constituent, they raise serious questions in my mind. What other issues are we speaking about without proper research? Does he similarly attack Glenville employees who do not live in the town, or does a double standard exist? Does he understand how quickly disinformation can spread when made by a supposed credible source, or does he not care? And is he impartial to make decisions regarding the village of Scotia and its fire department? Yes, most of our members don't live in the village, but many live in Glenville. Where our members choose to live is a personal decision, a decision made with their families for a host of reasons, all of which should be private. As a resident, I could ask if all town employees were also residents of the town, but I honestly couldn't care any less. I can tell you that looking through the 2022 town board meeting minutes, 45% of the new hires for this year in Glenville did not reside in Glenville. All were unanimously approved. So which is it? Are these employees somehow inferior or made to feel that way by Councilman Martin? Or does he just hold Scotia firefighters to different standards so he can publicly shame us? Public employment should be about hiring the best candidates for a position, somebody who brings the most value to a community, not based on where you pay your taxes. But let's get real about residency. While individually we may have many addresses, we collectively reside at 148 Mohawk Avenue, that beautiful century-old firehouse in the heart of the village. Our career firefighters have done so since 1920. We each spend a quarter of our time at that address. We eat there, sleep there, train there, answer calls there. Every day, night, weekend, holiday, birthday, snow day, even through a global pandemic. We know our community and we support them. Businesses, their employees, our neighbors, community leaders, organizations. We donate our off time to local charities, events, and causes because we care about that community. And the insinuation that we don't care for our residents, we don't care for the residents of Scotia, may be the single most offensive and frustrating lie that Councilman Martin made. As Deputy Supervisor Rosbowski can attest, people do not go into emergency services to get rich or to take advantage of people. They do so because of a deep-seated sense of service, caring, compassion, and duty for the community. It's why our members run into burning buildings. They tend to the sickest of our neighbors. They cut people from cars, perform code inspections, do public outreach and education, shovel fire hydrants, support Scotia Glenville youth activities, stop to show a kid our fire truck, go to high school football games, and actively participate in our great community events. Community is what makes Scotia Glenville great, and it's why we're proud to be a part of it. Being an elected official carries a burden, a responsibility to make factual statements, a responsibility to demonstrate good moral and character values, a responsibility to bring our communities together, not intentionally target them. People look to you guys for guidance, direction, and trust that what you're doing is in their best interests. In the age of social media, disinformation can spread rapidly, and its impact can have actual consequences on people. Unfortunately, Councilman Martin has failed us in this regard. In closing, I would like to ask the entire board to consider my questions that I began with. What other issues are we speaking on without proper research? Does he similarly attack Glenville employees who do not live in the town, or does this double standard exist? Does he understand how quickly disinformation can spread when made by a supposed credible source, or does he not care? And is he impartial to make decisions regarding the village of Scotia and its fire department? I believe Councilman Martin has demonstrated an obvious bias against Scotia and its fire department and a willingness to make damaging claims without sufficient research or evidence. Because of this, I implore you, Supervisor Ketzley, and the entire board to ensure that Councilman Martin recuse himself from participating in any negotiations, discussions, or votes pertaining to the Scotia Fire Department, including the upcoming District 4 contract, due to his impartiality. I thank you all for your time and consideration, and I hope you all have a great holiday.
Thank you, Adam. Next on the list is Keith Phillips.
Thank you all. My name is Keith Phillips. I live at 17 Liberty Drive in Milton, New York. I'm captain at the Scotia Fire Department, and I'm union president of the Scotia Permanent Firefighters Association. A couple of you I know well, and you would know that I wouldn't be here tonight if I didn't think this was serious. Additionally, every one of our firefighters wanted to speak tonight on this topic, but we limited it to 2 of us for all of our sakes. In a recent social media post regarding the recent village election, a question was posed to why the village needs to be saved. And Councilman Martin included in his answer, quote, "A fire department with employees who don't live in the community, yet demand high wages and benefits that the taxpayer bear, and they do not." Our firefighters do not, nor have ever demanded high wages and benefits. This is a lie told on a Facebook group with 13,000 members by a Glenville Town Board member. And while we're used to getting beat up on social media for the sole fact we're public sector employees, our concerns for this board are two things. One, our Councilman Martin's feelings shared amongst the rest of the board members. And two, the timing and the targeting of this post is very suspect due to the current District 4 contract negotiation and the subsequent vote. Our members have negotiated, not demanded, our bargaining unit contracts. It is a give and take process between both sides that happens with all representative employees in Scotia, here in Glenville, and throughout the country. Demands by one side or the other would land contract negotiations in mediation or arbitration, and neither of which has happened between our local and the village. If you feel that our wages are too high or our benefits are too great, that's fine. Everyone is entitled to their opinion. But this post was not scrutinizing our wages and benefits for an X, Y, or Z reason. This was a statement, a false statement, a statement that's been seen by us and many throughout Scotia, Glenville, and the region as an attempt to smear our good name and reputation as firefighters. We are not Tammany Hall union thugs. We're not Jimmy Hoffa's Teamsters. That's not who we are. Any of our firefighters could leave for another department and find better wages and much better working conditions at another department. But we choose to work at Scotia Fire. We care and are invested in the community and the residents that we have sworn to help and protect. In our last contract negotiations, the firefighters negotiated a contract that was very similar to our police and DPW contracts, except ours ended up being the most financially beneficial for the village. And I'm happy to explain to anybody who wants more information on that. Labor unions negotiate contracts here in Glenville and are voted on by this board. The last contract by Glenville PD set wages higher than our firefighter salaries and higher than any income on an average resident of Scotia, or resident of Glenville. The contract was approved by all. There was no uproar. There was no targeted social media posts. So why the double standard and the public attack on our firefighters? The firefighters were specifically named in the post, not our police, not DPW, just the firefighters. Very specific, so therefore very suspect considering the upcoming District 4 contract vote. And this was unprovoked. Never has our union or any of our firefighters talked about Council Martin in the public or on social media. Again, this statement was a lie at an integral moment when this contract will be negotiated and up for a vote. A contract that ties directly into our operational budget of the fire department, the jobs of some of our members, the safety of all of our firefighters, not to mention the public health and safety of your residents in District 4. There have been recent media stories with struggles to hire firefighters. Saratoga needs to hire 16. Schenectady is down 12. This is a trend seen throughout the area. In years gone by, our civil service list would have dozens and dozens of candidates. Our current list has 2 qualified candidates that we can hire. Almost every area fire department is lowering or cutting away their civil service requirements. And that's because the fire service of today is not the good old boys club of days long past. It's a job less and less people want. Call volumes are increasing every year. Fires are burning hotter and quicker. Equipment, safety, staffing are all being cut from budgets. Cancer, heart disease, PTSD, and suicide plague our profession. And the uneducated and vile keyboard warriors of social media continue their attacks. Most don't want to do what we do because of these reasons and many more. If you don't like us or don't want us, that's fine. Just say that. If you think we're paid too much, then that's fine. Just say that and give us some educated reasons why. But a statement saying we demand higher wages and benefits is a lie. If you feel as Councilman Martin does, then I would encourage you to sit down with our union, if not our fire chief, to discuss the concerns. But if you do support your firefighters, then it deserves more than showing up at chicken barbecue with a pat on the back and a thank you for your service. It means getting down in the trenches to help solve real problems. And I don't even care if it's us. Pick any of their 6 fire departments in the town. Ask them about their training, what they need. Ask them what their equipment needs are, what their staffing needs are, their health concerns for cancer and mental health. Help them find new funding and just be a sounding board to help them solve problems. If you want to really help, if you really want to help and then help solve this EMS crisis in Glenville and Scotia. Find out why your residents are getting ambulances from 3 agencies away when they call 911. Pick up the phone and call an administrator at Ellis Hospital to find out why your residents are waiting 8 to 12 hours to be seen in an emergency room. this would be a real impact on their health and well-being. And I know a couple of you are having those discussions. But if you're not going to provide real support, then that's fine. Then I'll just take the pat in the back because it's better than being spit in the face. This recent village election had candidates that pushed for accountability and an increased positive, cooperative working relationship with Glenville. These candidates were backed by the majority of this board. This social media post was wrong, both morally and ethically. Councilman Martin has shown by this action that he holds a bias and cannot vote fairly on the matters that involve our fire department. Actions like this sour the ability to build stronger relationships between the two municipalities. Councilman Martin should be held accountable for his written lie. He should recuse himself from any vote regarding our fire department, if not the village of Scotia as a whole. Thank you for hearing me.
Thank you, Keith. Anyone else wish to be heard at privilege of the floor? Privilege of the floor is still open. Anyone else wish to be heard? Going once, going twice. Seeing none, privilege of the floor is now closed. We now move to the supervisor's comments to the board. I will try to edit them as we go so we don't have too much duplication. I do want to say just to expound a little bit on the new sign is up. It looks great. We're getting a lot of great compliments on it. I want to thank and congratulate the board because, as you all know, this was money that came out of the ARPA fund, paid for by the ARPA fund. It came in over $50,000. So without that funding, that's something we wouldn't be able to do. But it's a great opportunity for community events to be focused, but also public safety. And that's why we did it. If the police or the fire or any fire department in the town needs to put a message out there, please contact us and we'll be able to help with that. So it was a big upgrade out there. We're very excited. If anyone knows anyone who wants a 1980s style rotary sign that was there before, let us know. We got it for a really good price for you if you want it. I do want to mention that as Councilman Ramatar talked about, the design for the water project is going forward. This includes not just the business and tech park, but the below the Ave also. So that is being now designed. We're one step closer to having the reality of that water come the expansion of the town system into that area. I have alerted Mayor Bucefaro of this and talked about the urgency at which we do need to get to the table and talk. I understand that he's only been a mayor since Monday, but town business doesn't stop and wait too long. And so he needs to get to the table and start talking about how we want to go forward with that. And that's time. I cannot impress upon anyone enough that time is of the essence on that. I do want to thank County Legislator Osterlitz for being here today and her work on the All Plaza sidewalk. We've been working with the county on that. I met with two county legislators, Frazzoni and Constantine. We had a good meeting. We're trying to figure out just to make sure how we capture that DEC climate smart money, that $388,000, and do this jointly. We're working on that. I had a nice talk with Michelle just now and said she sees no problem. So we're going to be working forward on that Outlaw Sidewalk project. And hopefully we will be in the ground in the spring. That's our goal, getting in the ground in the spring. Councilman Ramatar mentioned the tree lighting. I do want to thank the committee. That was a wonderful event. Julie is part of a committee with Susan and Cassie, Ginger, and all the folks that worked on that, the staff, Rob, and everyone did a really good job on that. Great chowder, great tree lighting. Santa came. The shed was beautiful. Great setup. So thank you. That was a wonderful night. I was able to attend park planning with Vicky. A lot of good discussion. I think it was a record for the longest park planning meeting, I think, ever. So thanks for making sure I got to that one. We did have a good discussion on pickleball is becoming very popular in the town and all around, actually. So we're looking at maybe how we can expand some pickleball opportunities. The veterans gave a discussion on Legacy Park. We're working towards an agreement with them so that we have the park and understanding how they can utilize the park. Disc golf came up, softball came up, and those are things that we're going to be working on fairly quickly. And the last thing I just want to bring up, because you're probably hearing about, no, two things real quick. The Champlain Hudson power line has been approved by the state of New York. You might be getting calls on this, but our residents are being approached on easements that they want on their properties. And they're offering somewhere between $3,000 and $7,000 to take permanent easements on these properties, particularly down Maple into Woodhaven, and out towards Hutcheltown as the route of the power line will go. This is the power line that is going to go from Montreal to Brooklyn. It's approved. We can't stop it, but my office is getting a lot of calls on what to do about this because they don't know. So I reached out, and we'll be having a meeting with the folks from the Champlain Hudson Power Line company on Friday, and we'll get more information. But it is a situation, and I think Courtney can back this up, that they will have eventually eminent domain rights here. So it's something we're going to help facilitate communications on. But if you get calls, we're in communication with the company, and we'll try to get a public communication out about that. And lastly, I reached out to Senator Breslин's office to congratulate him on his win and to welcome him to the beautiful town of Glenville. It was a good call. We're going to have a meeting next week. I'm going down there to meet with him and talk about the issues that the town is facing and how the senator can be helpful to that. And I'll keep you up to date on that as well. So that's all I have. With that, we can move into the resolutions, and we'll start with resolution number 8, adopting local law number 9, amending chapter 130, fees of the code of the town of Glenville. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, this revises the fee schedule as outlined in the previous public hearing. I think that is a sufficient explanation.
Yes. I do want to point one thing out. This is brought forward by our new DPW Commissioner, Craig Allard, and I want to thank him for, within a week, identifying that we're losing money on these things because the cost of the meters and all this stuff is higher than what we're charging our residents. And so this really just brings us in line with our costs, so we don't no longer losing money on this stuff. And so that was a good immediate save, and I appreciate that, Craig, for your proactive work on that. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Ramichardt?
Yes.
Councilman Woodowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Shipley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next, resolution 9, declaring certain communication equipment as surplus. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved and second. Any discussion?
Mr. Supervisor, this resolution is in connection with outdated emergency communication systems equipment in possession of the police department. Chief Janik has reviewed the surplus equipment and has worked with Capital Digitronics to conduct an inventory and deem which equipment should be kept and which should be made surplus. So this resolution, should it pass, would put a number of it's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not going to read it.
Radio
A
equipment.
lot of radio equipment. I mean, if anybody needs, I don't know, if you need any of this stuff, put a bid in. Hopefully you'll get it. Probably will. Anyway, should this resolution pass, the equipment that's listed in a Schedule A attached to this resolution would be declared surplus, and the town comptroller would be authorized to dispose of it in the most cost-effective manner possible.
Thank you. And I do also want to just point out that this is the result of a grant that Schenectady County actually received millions of dollars in funding to update our emergency communication system. It's another example of the county and the town and the other agencies. I'm sure you guys all have on the same radio now, working together. So thank you again, Michelle. Good work by everybody on this one. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Ramichardt?
Yes.
Councilman Woodowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Shipley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next, resolution 10, authorizing the purchase of 5 fire hydrants. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor. Commissioner of Public Works, Craig Allard, recommends or advises the town requires the purchase of 5 fire hydrants. Lowest bidder is Ferguson Waterworks for a individual price of $3,446.44, a total of $17,232.20, which is already included in the amended budget to buy these hydrants.
Thank you. And again, I want to thank Craig for the proactive approach here. This is a defensive measure for the town. We already have fire hydrants in surplus, but we believe with the shortage of supply chain issues that we don't want to be in a situation where if we take a couple out and following this year, we're stuck. It could be a ways out before we get another one. So this is just a proactive approach to stock up on them and make sure we're going into the winter months just fine.
Mm.
Any other questions or comments?
Well, I think it's also important because with the number of water main breaks we've had recently, you never know if they're going to actually impact a hydrant or not. So
Right.
thank you for being proactive.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Rutherford?
Yes.
Councilman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
President Hughes?
Yes, resolution passes. Next resolution, 11, authorizing the hire of 2 seasonal recreational attendants. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Mr. Supervisor, this resolution is going to fly in the face of reason, given it was 60 degrees today. But this resolution would be to authorize the hiring of 2 temporary seasonal recreational attendants in Indian Meadows Park to maintain the skating rinks during the winter months. So this resolution would authorize the Director of Human Services to employ up to 2 seasonal recreation attendants for the time period of December 17th through March 25th, 2023, with a workload between the 2 positions of not more than 40 hours per week in total at the budgeted rate of $15 per hour with no benefits. So does this mean it's going to get cold, Vicki?
Oh, yeah. The resolution will make sure it happens.
It does fly in the face of reason, but hopefully
This is
winter will come.
One of my favorite activities. I love when the rink is open, even though I'm not a figure skater and I'm afraid I'll break an ankle. But
I have to say, my daughter's best friend was a rink attendant 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and she loved it. She said
Yeah.
it was super,
It gets
super fun. It was
well
not,
attended.
yeah, it was not a hard, difficult job, and she said it was fun. So
But if I break an ankle, Keith will be there for me, right? Someone's going to be there for me, right? You're not going to break the other one, right? You're going to say, this is how we found him. But I did play broom ball on that. That was pretty fun. You ever play broom ball?
no,
It's pretty fun.
I'm not athletic
Yeah.
at all.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Rutherford?
Yes.
Councilman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
President Hughes?
Yes, resolution passes. Next resolution, 12, accepting a bid from BEB Drilling for Indian Meadows Water Service Connection Project. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, as mentioned earlier, this is to the installation of new water service to Indian Meadows, which includes equipment, labor, and materials for that installation to BEB Drilling LLC for a total price of $82,000 as the lowest bidder.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Rutherford?
Yes.
Councilman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
President Hughes?
Yes, resolution passes. Next resolution, 13, approving the minutes for the regular town board meeting held on November 16th, 2022. Do I have a motion?
I'll move
Do I
it.
have a second?
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Rutherford?
Yes.
Councilman Wozzachowski?
I'm going to vote yes, but I also need to say what Councilman Godlewski always says. I'd like to thank Ms. Niels and her staff
Ms.
for
Niels?
the. Oh, whoa.
He does say that.
Excuse me, Ms. Davenport and her staff for the preparation of the minutes in a timely fashion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Wozzachowski.
We're going to tell Mike Galuski now that we actually missed him. And now I got to admit that to him. Oh, no. Any other?
Supervisor Kessler?
Yes, resolution passes. Next, resolution 14, designating Commissioner of Public Works Craig Bieler to the position of Stormwater Management Officer. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. As you know that we're moving the stormwater management piece under the Department of Public Works, so this would conclude that. I did have a meeting today with Tony Tazi, our Director of Planning here. He had a good idea, and we could do this any number of ways you want to. He had suggested that we actually name more than one person to it, so that's good for backup and for extra capacity when things are kind of busy. And he offered himself and Planner One, Nicholas Giovanni, to also be named stormwater manager. So I thought that was a good idea. I can make a motion to amend this and add those names, or we can come back and add those two names at another meeting. I don't think either way matters, but if we just want to get it all done today, we can make a motion to amend.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Thank you, gentlemen. That's
Yeah, okay. with
a
everyone?
good idea.
So I'm going to make a motion to amend Resolution 14 to add the names Anthony Tozzi and Nicholas Giovanni. We'll get those spellings later. Good Irish names, Tony. To the position of Stormwater Management Officer along with Craig Diellard. Do I have a motion?
I'll move
Do I
it.
have a second?
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? Seeing none, please record the vote on the amendment.
Council Martin?
Yes.
Council Rutherford?
Yes.
Council Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. We'll move to Resolution 14A. That resolution would designate Commissioner of Public Works Craig Diellard to the position, along with Anthony Tozzi and Nick Giovanni to that position. We have a motion on that, right? Because I
Yes.
just did a motion to amend. So we have a motion. All we need is a discussion. Any discussion? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Council Martin?
Yes.
Council Rutherford?
Yes.
Council Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next, resolution 15, adopting the Town of Glenville Park Master Plan. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Mr. Supervisor, this resolution is, as you stated, in connection with revisions to the Town of Glenville Park Master Plan. It's taken a period of 2 years for the park planning and for Vicki Hillis to go through and improve it. We had a work session on it recently, and it's a pretty impressive list of beautiful physical assets that are within the town for the residents and those who wish to enjoy. And I'd like to thank Vicki and the Park Planning Commission. It was extremely thoughtful, comprehensive. The changes that we suggested at the work session, I think, just tweaked it just that much more. And I'm glad to see this on the agenda tonight.
Thank you. I do want to thank Vicki, Park Planning, Town Board members, everyone had input into this staff. This was something that was on my to-do list by the end of the year, and Vicki, we got it in with one more meeting to go, so that's good, very good. But it has been a long time. You know, we used to look at the Park Planning Master Plan was a map, and I used to say, I don't know what I'm looking at, it's a map. But I wanted it in written form, and I really much appreciate all your work on it. I think it's a great product. One of the discussions that we have with park planning, Vicki and I discussed too, it's a living document, just like a comprehensive plan.
Right.
It's going to change and ebb and flow, and priorities will shift as you go through the years. We had a good discussion with some park planning members about resources and how do you allocate the resources, and when a grant comes up and something is going to get funded and that's at the bottom of the list, does that go to the top of the list necessarily? So a lot of good discussion, but it's a good guidepost for us. And it's I think much improved for us to go forward with the master plan. And the parks look wonderful too. So thank you. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Council Martin?
Yes.
Council Rutherford?
Yes.
Council Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. We're on to our last item, new business. I'll start on my left with Councilman Rosbowski.
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, I neglected to mention in my report, the Scotia Glenville cross country team, as I reported at the last meeting, was headed to the New York Federation. I believe the girls placed 4th and the boys placed 6th.
At the Federation.
At the Federation, which is, like I had said, all high schools within New York State, public, private, all of that. So I'm going to reach out to Coach Crow and get their actual seasonal record because it's impressive.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that maybe we can recognize them formally in an upcoming board meeting. I think that, they
Can
came together and did really well.
Do it by the 21st.
Possibly.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
That would be nice.
Because we do have the cross-country boys coming out on 21st.
Burnhill's
Burnhill,
Boston.
Boston Lake.
Okay. Ooh, little rivalry. So yeah, I will reach out to Coach Crow and see what I can get together for us. I think that would be nice to do for them. They worked really, really hard.
Yeah.
And the fact that they joined together with other schools to compose a team for the girls when they went to states, I think that was really fantastic. That deserves recognition as well. So,
Very nice. Yeah, let's push it for 21st if we can.
okay.
Otherwise it'll be mid-January and I don't want
Yeah,
to
I
get
know
too
you
far
don't want to
away.
lose the,
Yeah.
yep. Okay.
Thank you. Councilman Martin?
Well, I wasn't going to have much new, but I guess I should say a couple things.
I kind of anticipated that.
First of all, what I did post what I said, and I think I'm entitled to my opinion, and I've shared as much with Keith in messaging back and forth. And I also indicated that there was no greater supporter among the elected boards, whether it be the trustees or this town board, than me for the service that you all provide. And I can say that with all sincerity. And I will never change that outlook. However, it is also incumbent upon me as an elected official, I believe, to have, a scrutinizing eye on the cost of services. And I will continue to do so, and I will do so unapologetically. And the other thing I want to say, you guys don't know what I do for a living, do you? You know what I do? I'm a senior planner and an economic development specialist, and have done so for over 40 years. And in the course of that career, I've literally looked at over 150 separate town and village budgets across upstate New York. So I kind of feel I know, at least I have some perspective. And that's part of the reason why I ran for this board, is because I thought I had some knowledge and perspective that would be useful to the constituency here in conducting this town government. And that's why I ran. So I'll never stop apologizing for looking out for the cost of constituents. I think that's part of my role. And sometimes it's not a pleasant one, and I have to point out things that are not popular. And I won't stop doing that when it happens. And this is one of these instances. I had done my research. There was a lot of reference made to me doing research and all that. That's what I do, as a lot of you know. And I happen to update my research in this regard, and I shared this with Keith. As it turns out, this is the most expensive department in the village budget. It's costing, on average, salary and benefits, $141,000 a year, on average. Some, for the starter firefighter, it's a little less, and for those who've been in longer or take on more overtime, it's a little more. But on average, it's $141,000 per firefighter. At the same time, the per capita income in the village is $38,000. That's nearly 4 times as much. And it's more than twice the household income in the village. These are census figures. Anybody can go look at this stuff. And the figures I just cited on the cost of benefits is right in this most recent village budget. It's right online. So I don't think that's sustainable. And I said as much to Keith. It's not a comment on the service that you guys provide or your personal integrity or any of that. I keep that completely separate. And I have enough discipline upon myself to do so. The other resulting effect of this is the per $1,000 tax rate in the village is the highest I found in the region in the research I did conduct. It's $42 per thousand for the combined tax rate. And all I was simply hoping for was there would be some acknowledgement of the cost that is borne by the taxpayer in meeting these costs. That's all I was thinking. And yet I'm attacked for my ethics, and okay, fine. If that's how you feel, but that's not how I feel towards you guys. And I'm just pointing out an unsustainable fact. And I meant for this to be instructive. This is happening with a context that just can't continue, or you're literally not going to have a village government. That's my personal opinion based on, the work that I do and the perspective that it's formed. And I just think that's worth pointing out. It's never meant to be an attack. And I don't know how else to say it other than that. It's just a long-term condition that can't continue, or something's got to give. So that was my point in saying that. And if it was taken as an affront, it was not meant to be. And I guess that's on me, and I apologize for that. But I'm not going to apologize for pointing out what I see as a fiscal issue that can't be sustained, and I will never stop sharing that opinion. I'm sorry. If it improves, I'll be the first one to point that out as well. But it's a condition right now that is not healthy, and that's simply what I was trying to say. So that's it. I don't know how to say it other than that.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Ramatar.
Nothing new, Mr. Supervisor.
You know, I just want to have a few comments here because I don't want to leave this meeting on this note. And I will share with you, I got a call last night from a Democrat who said the word on the street is Ketsley's going soft. I'm not going soft, but I do want to talk about just quickly the opportunity we all have, every one of us right now, that we have not had in many, many years, probably through my tenure of who I've worked with, had this opportunity. But we have an opportunity to bridge the gulf between the village and the town right now. What happens next is going to be on all of us here, all those in Scotia government, on everybody. We have an opportunity to work together. We have our differences, it's clear. There's no question about it. But the mayor and I have had very, very good conversations. It might surprise you to know that I had an idea I threw out to him about how to get you more revenue by doing some stuff for the town of Glenville. We're ready to talk. We're ready to work with you. And I don't want these types of things to get in the way of the opportunity we have. I feel like we've had a great opportunity with the county, and we're moving forward working with the county. This All Paws sidewalk is so important to me. As I told Pete and I told Tom, and I'll tell Michelle and anyone else, this is an opportunity for us to go out and talk about how the state, the county, and the town came together and did something that couldn't get done in 40 years because we all worked together. We got to work together too. We're going to have these disagreements. There's no question about it. You know, we've had disagreements, Keith, over the years. Fire District 4 is a tough one for everybody. It's tough for everybody. We'll get there, but it's an opportunity for us to work together, and we can't stop talking about it, talking to each other, and I don't think we can lose this opportunity that we have to work together. It's genuine. I think there was some things that maybe, you know, suggested the other board members, are you in lockstep, you know, that type of question. My goal is to get us all working together, and I'm going to do everything I can to do that. You have my word on that. I've always had that as a goal, but I think now we have some folks in place to make that happen. And I really want to make it happen. So I hope we all leave this meeting knowing, okay, we have a disagreement, but, you know, we're one community here. Whether you want to believe it or not, we're one community. We got to work together. Let's work together. Let's figure this out. I generally like to have people stay off social media, but, you know, that's just me because I get my share of attacks on social media. But let's take this opportunity. New Year's coming up. And it's really going to be incumbent on all of us to make this happen. So hopefully that is a little bit more of a positive note. And with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'll move it.
A second.
Second.
Moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you.